Unit 2 Godot, a critical analysis structure, objectives, introduction, brief comments, key questions, critical analysis, Act 1. Objectives: to analyze the text of the play in the background of the distinct aspects of the play discussed briefly in Unit 1. Introduction: we will raise some key questions here. Key questions here which you should bear in mind when you start reading the play along with the critical analysis. As you look for answers to these questions, you will get to understand the play better. 2.2 Brief comments and key questions. Now let us first look at the stage decor in Waiting for Godot. Compare it with the elaborate stage decor in other plays you have studied. In this play, it is an open country road with a leafless tree, if we can call it. Beckett has not placed his characters in a specific place or time. By refusing to mention the specifics, is Beckett trying, number one, to decontextualize the play and lend it simultaneously a universal dimension in terms of time and space? Number two, do you think this dramatic device makes the play an open-ended play, which in turn reinforces above this statement? Okay. Number three, further, can we take the road as an emblem of movement, future and progress, where other people might come along? Do you think a positive answer to third one above will possibly make the play a play of hope, which the word waiting in the title seems to denote? However, if read ironically, will waiting acquire different connotations? If so, what? In case of the dramatic persona 2, Beckett strips them of their genealogy and renders them rootless. We are not told anything about the two main characters, Estrogen and Vladimir. We are Estrogon and Vladimir. We are left to hazard a guess about their nationalities, as also about their background only by their names. Beckett thus takes away man's individuality, identity, his property, his family, his place, function in society, and then begins to strip man of his normal human equipment, also as is seen in Endgame, where the main characters are deprived of their legs and mobility. Okay, now it is not just that the two tramps, Estrogen and Vladimir, have no home and no locale. What is worse, they seem unaware that they have neither. We will talk about the significance of these aspects in the later units. Please first try and find out the significance of the names of the dramatis persona as you attempt to find answers to the questions that follow. As stated above, Beckett doesn't give the nationality, history or past life of the characters. So, number one, what in your view is Beckett trying to convey through this device? Number two, do their names hint at their possible nationality? Number three, does he wish to make the play cross-cultural in its content and intent? Although Beckett denied any attempt to internationalize the play by giving the character French, Estrogon, Russian, Vladimir, English, Lucky, and Italian, Pozzo, pronounced Pozzo names. Okay. Now, critical analysis, Act 1. 2.3 Critical analysis, Act 1. The play starts with the reunion of two tramps, Vladimir and Estrogon. You will note that in beginning of Act 1, Vladimir says, "I am glad to see you back." Together again at last. पेज नंबर 9 पर है ये. The use of the word again shows that they have been here earlier also. Compare Vladimir's remark in Act 2, you again. There is a lot of exaggerated physical action in the play which provokes laughter. Note how Estragon pulls at his boots with both hands panting and is exhausted. Beckett believes that the first words should introduce the theme of the play. The opening words in Godot, nothing to be done, do precisely that. These words will echo again and again during the course of the play. In line with the exaggerated action, we observe that Vladimir moves with short, stiff strides, with legs apart, as he suffers from the enlargement of the prostate gland, a complaint common in old age. His gait, means manner of walking, reminds us of the king of comedy, Charlie Chaplin. On their meeting, the two tramps embrace each other. Whenever they meet, they go through the same motions of greeting. Also, you will note the mock heroic manner in which Vladimir addresses Estragon. May one inquire? Question mark. The latter's response to it in a ditch instantly pricks the air bubble of the heightened style. Estragon informs that he had been beaten by some people whom he identifies only as they. What they refers to remain a mystery, much like the malevolent cosmic forces, the tormentors of humanity. They are as mysterious as Godot is to be later. Beating here signifies human suffering, so when Vladimir remarks that we should have thought of it, the human suffering, 1,000,000 years ago, Beckett attempts to historicize it and also brings it closer to our times in the 90s. Okay, next. Okay. How do human beings cope with their suffering? Estragon and Vladimir had, during their younger days, together planned to commit suicide by jumping off the Eiffel Tower. But Vladimir thinks, in their present condition, they would not be allowed to go up the Eiffel Tower and will thus be denied even the most despairing choice of committing suicide. Despairing means loss of all hopes. Estragon, however, remains occupied with his personal suffering caused by his hurting shoes. Aghast. Okay, this one is aghast. Aghast hota hai means filled with horror. When asked by Vladimir if his shoes hurt, Estragon addresses the audience directly. Hurts. He wants to know if it hurts. He thus draws the audience into the play. And an instance of Brechtian influence on Beckett. Brechtian होता है German playwright, producer and poet, है ना, Brechtian. Okay, who through such theatrical devices breaks the illusion of being in a theatre. Okay, a little before this, Vladimir mimics maternal scolding to a child. Shoes should be taken off every day. I am tired of telling you that. Such a characteristic feminine banality. Banality means not original. Is further repeated in a conjugal tone, marital tone. Conjugal means marital. Okay, there is a man all over for you. Fault of his feet. Vladimir suddenly has an urge to pass water, his kind of suffering due to the prostate problem. The play introduces a more somber note. dull note, which, with the tram's comic manner in the background, is further accentuated, means highlighted, when Vladimir plays upon the proverb, hope deferred maketh the heart sick, and use the word something in place of heart. Beckett introduces uncertainty as a theme. Now, okay, both uh, both remain preoccupied with their respective problem. Estragon with his boot and Vladimir with his intense urge to pass water. Okay, he feels it coming and yet it doesn't. So he is relieved and at the same time appalled. Appalled means horrified. Estragon, in order to even up with Vladimir, asks if his difficulty in urinating hurts. Vladimir's response to it is identical to Estragon's. He too addresses the audience directly. Hurts. Vladimir keeps examining his hat for some foreign body in it, and Estragon, in the meanwhile, succeeds in taking off his shoe. The play once again moves from banality to the biblical plane when Vladimir refers to the story of the two thieves and Christ. Beckett himself refers to St. Augustine's words about the two thieves. Do not despair. One of the thieves was saved. Do not presume. One of the thieves was damned. Beckett claimed that he had always been impressed by the symmetry of St. Augustine's words. You will observe that such a symmetry works at different levels in the play. It corresponds to Estragon's feet, one of which is damned. Okay, the other is saved. Later of the two tramps, Estragon is beaten and the other, Vladimir, saves him and is saved himself. Vladimir, ever resilient, strong, finds the percentage of being saved reasonable as chances are 50-50. Also, it is interesting to note that only in only in the list of characters are the tramps named Estragon and Vladimir. Right through the play, the two address each other by their nicknames, Gogo and Didi. Could we say that with passage of time, their 8-lettered names have been reduced to 4-lettered, each, Gogo and Didi, which falls in line with with what Lucky later says about man, that man, in spite of the strides, means steps of physical culture, the practice of sports shrinks and dwindles. Estragon's proposal to repent for the sin of their being born, which brought about their respective suffering, evokes a hearty laugh from Vladimir, which he stifles. Stifles means suffocate immediately as laughter revives his pain due to prostate gland enlargement. Beckett quoted Calderon, who said, man's greatest sin is to have been born. It seems to be Beckett's one of the most deeply felt convictions. Now, having stifled his laughter suddenly, Vladimir smiles as suddenly from ear to ear. Laughing and smiling mechanically highlight Vladimir's clownish antics, means behavior, clown wala behavior. Okay. Now, on being asked if he had read the Bible, Estragon's reply, I must have, ये कुछ कट गया यहाँ पे, edit, is characteristic of his inconsistency. Since later in the play he affirms that all his life he has compared himself to Christ. Estragon goes on to speak graphically about the maps of the Holy Land and his deep desire to go to the Dead Sea. Since there is nothing to be done, Vladimir offers to tell the story of two thieves in the Bible to pass time. Estragon, however, is disinterested in the story and declares, I am doing. Yet he doesn't move. Such a dichotomy, the contrast between proposal and action, underlines element of the absurd in the play, which will be repeated several times. Okay, we'll take a pause.